Hello and welcome to the Foxy Bros podcast, the show where we talk about different topics and see where the conversation takes us. I'm your host, Foxy, and I am joined today by the returning, as it were, like the return of the king, the return of the man to know, Gerry Soul, and also the return of Carl. I'm only messing. No, but like it has been a while since you've been on the show. But like, how the hell are you?
Let Carl go first. You go ahead, Carl.
I'm great. Just been busy streaming and shit on Foxy Bros Gaming.
I'm good. I think I've seen you more over the last few weeks than I've seen you the last few years. But that's all through Zoom. Don't know how happy I am about that, but you take a little bit of Niall every now and then, But yeah, I'm good. Good to be back. You know how much I love doing these podcasts, and this one is probably going to be my favorite. So
that's why I wanted. Like, I know last time I had you and Vic on, but like this is the one that I really wanted to get you onto.
Yeah,
because like it's something that I knew that Carl would definitely be interested in, because it's. Yeah.
Oh hell yeah!
it was one of the only like out of the first two episodes that he appeared on, and that was only because he was interested in. But like this today, we are talking about Lord of the Rings, and last time we kind of just talked about a bit of the movies and a little bit of what was coming out at the time or what was being announced. But this time around, we want to talk about a bit more of a broad perspective, like whether it be the YouTube videos of information, how the movies change, the video games, streaming, like the different versions of the video games that have come out, and just what you like, what you don't like about the franchise. And yeah,
there's very little to dislike.
There is very little to dislike, and I know like people go on and on about Lord of the Rings is the be all and end all of the franchise, and the Hobbit is secondary to them. But I still really enjoy the Hobbit, especially a lot of people, they go on and on about the extended versions are too long. Well, fuck off and watch something else then if that's your beef, because it's just more and more information. Like the fact that you watch all three Lord of the Rings extended versions is probably about 12 plus hours, maybe nearly 13 hours altogether. Don't know the exact times there, but it's really long.
More closer to 14.
There you go. I've done them twice in the cinema, back to back, like in one day.
Same here.
Yeah, there you go. And that was my first experience, and that was doing the train in one day was in the Lighthouse in Smithfield. That was actually my first experience with a cosplayer that day, because somebody came along, a girl came along dressed as an elf, and the costume was absolutely fantastic. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. And I had a little chat with her that day. I says, "Where did you get yourself?" "Oh, I made it myself." "And where did you get?" "Oh, I made it myself." I was like, "You made all that?" "The fuck?" I couldn't make any of that. Like, I was ringing me mom. I was like, "Can you sew this?" "You're a seamstress. You could." "Oh, fine." And she wasn't going to help me, but it's I love that. Now it's a tough old day when you're doing all three. Like, I remember I got in there, and I was only back, right? This is my situation. I was at a work Christmas party the night before in Galway. Okay. We stayed overnight in Galway. I got the 7:30 bus from Galway to Dublin, got back into Dublin at 11:30, ran to my house, dropped my bags off, told my wife and my 2-year-old son, "Right, see you tomorrow." Left, got to the Lighthouse for 12 o'clock, and it was like 12 o'clock up until like 2 o'clock in the morning. There was a 10-minute interval between the first movie and the second movie. There was a half an hour, 40-minute interval between the second and third movie. So you went into the first movie, your popcorn, your sweets, and your drink. That was fine. Went out, have to have your piss break, grant, not a bother. Got more popcorn and sweets and drink, and went back in. After the second movie, I was like, how the fuck am I still hungry? Like, what the fuck's going on? Went and got some food. Then went and got more popcorn and drink and sweets, and went back for the third movie. everything was eaten, because you're there for 13 or 14 hours.
Yeah, should have Fellowship of the Ring extended is 4 hours? Mm-hmm. Just 4 hours, 12 minutes or something with the credits?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And I watched them, and I'm like, right, that's it. That's grand. I watched them all in one day. Brilliant. Probably not going to watch them for a while. 2 weeks later, watch all three of them again.
I don't know.
It is for me. If you know the whole thing that if you were on a desert island and you can only pick a couple of movies, what would you pick? Lord of the Rings.
Oh, Lord of the Rings.
Like, a lot of people know me as a Star Wars guy. So you can see Darth Vader in the background here. I've got lightsabers galore. I've got Boba Fett's helmet here. Everywhere in here at the minute is fairly Star Warsy, but
I'm opposite.
yeah. But the thing is, even though it's all Star Warsy, my be all and end all for me is Lord of the Rings. If you were to ask me to pick which trilogy is better, the original Star Wars trilogy or Lord of the Rings, I'd go Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
It's just, I absolutely, like my very first tattoos were the Lord of the Rings, the writing off the ring, the one ring to rule them all. I got them on my arms. And the fact that I had them about a year, I worked in Centra on Dame Street at the time, and my dad used to always come visit me. And he runs in the door because he knows I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan. He's quick. So what's the issue? Someone at the Robinson? What's going on? No, look who's outside. There's fucking Elijah Wood standing at the traffic lights outside my job. I'm just like, holy shit. Fucking Frodo, what's he doing here? And my dad was like, go over and talk to him. I was like, no, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't disturb somebody. They're obviously on holiday, blah, blah. He says, well, I'm gonna go over. And my dad, he wouldn't have been a very confident person, but he was like, no, fuck it, I'm going over. He went over, talked to Elijah Wood for a second. Elijah Wood turns around, looks at me, comes straight over to me then. I was like, oh shit. Oh fuck.
Fangirl moment there, Jer.
So he comes in and he says, oh, pleased to meet you. And my dad was like, show me your arms. I was like, Jesus Christ. And he was like, what have you got? And I showed him the tattoo. I was like, oh my God, I've never seen them like that before. Like everyone was just getting them wrapped around their arms. The way you've got it done is really cool. I've never seen it. I was like, oh, thanks very much. And we chatted for a second. I was a manager in the center at the time. And I said, would you like anything? I said, you can have whatever you want on the house, whatever you want. Oh, I'll just take a bottle of water. There you go. Anything else? There you go. Yeah. Everything smokes. There you go. You need anything? You need anything? You hookers or anything? I'll get them. No problem.
Do you want the deal? Do you want the cash?
I want the money. I'll give you the money. No problem.
You need anything? I'm the man to know.
Yeah. So he shook my hand. This was the time before everyone had a camera on their phone, so I didn't get a picture with him. But what was funny was later that evening, I was going into town. I was going to break for the border that night, and I was going over to a friend of mine who used to work in the door. And as we're walking along, all I hear is this American accent. Hey, you! Who's shouting, hey, you? Hey, you with the tattoo! I turn around and there's Elijah Wood calling me over. He says, hi, how are you? I was like, oh, Jesus, how are you? How's it getting on? My friend is standing there going, the fuck do you know Elijah Wood? I was like, we're actually good friends, actually. We're actually pretty good
Humble brag.
But he brings me into the restaurant where he's having food and he introduced me to his friends. Now, show my friends your tattoos. I'm like, you seriously show me off to your friends?
The breakdown of tears.
Showed the tattoos. He chatted to me for a few more minutes. He's like, "Oh, it's really cool to see you again. Best of luck." And I said, "Oh, best of luck." And I'd actually asked him why he was in Ireland, and they were on a couple of days break from shooting Green Street. Do you remember? And he was going back to England in a few days, but he was over here for he'd never been to Ireland before. Wanted to have a look, and that was that. And that was my Elijah Wood, Lord of the Rings moment, and I'll never fucking forget that.
That's
cool. That's really cool.
That's a real cool, like fucking just purely like out of nowhere. It just happens, and it's like you're in the moment, even though you're like inside freaking out to hell. Like it's just like I really enjoyed this interaction. It was a great interaction.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't like, oh, I got to meet him and he was terrible. No, he was actually really, really lovely. Mm-hmm. So,
like when you see so many, because we do have a lot of great actors living here in Ireland, we really do. But 9 times out of 10, I look at them and go, I'm going to give you a wide berth because this is where you're from. You're not on holiday. You're just casually walking down the street. I'm going to leave you alone. I will watch from afar and go, he's a great actor. Great to see him in the flesh. Because a lot of the time you will go up to these people and they're like, fuck off.
Yeah.
I don't want that to happen to me. I was very lucky that it didn't happen with Elijah Wood. Because imagine this guy that was shorter than me going, fuck off. I'm like, what the fuck? I'll give you a fucking dig, you little bollocks. But there's been so many people, there's so many amazing actors in these films that the fact that I met the main actor in the film
Yeah.
was for me just absolutely out of this world amazing. And if there was anyone else I could meet, if I could pick one of the person, it'd have to be Ian McKellen.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be
Oh,
a
yeah.
really good. In fairness, I'd actually love to meet Sean Bean and talk to him.
Why do you die so much, you bastard?
He loves to die.
Just the fact is, like, in an interview for like Lord of the Rings, it was really funny because they were saying he's terrified of flying.
And he had to go to Australia and New Zealand. Oh God!
Yeah, but no. One of the scenes was, do you know where they're on the mountain, the snow mountain of Everest, and they're climbing up, but he wouldn't fly up in a helicopter, so he got dressed at all hours in the morning, got done up with his armor and all, and hiked up the mountain in it while the others flew by him on a chopper. He wore his gear and he hiked all the way up and all the way back down.
Talking about method acting, and that's not even method acting. He was like, I'm not getting into the chopper. I'll fucking hike.
Ain't getting no plane.
The fact, like, they were saying that it was windy and all, but I was like, all right, I could see a little bit where he was coming from, but with all that gear on him,
yeah, that gear is heavy.
Well, I tell you,
that deserves a high five.
No,
definitely wouldn't have been cold.
He wouldn't have been. Especially with all that on him. Oh.
Damn, like you said, it's like you'd love to meet Ian McKellen. Like, I think he's he's actually the gatekeeper for the franchise because like he's been involved in it for so long.
He's in every movie, every single one of them.
He's in every movie, and they have tried to get him in for anything, whether it be like the video games or animated stuff. They always try to get him in for that role.
Yeah,
same as Christopher Lee. He was in them all, technically.
Exactly. Yeah, he was in all of them, and the fact that he was in a lot of the video games as well.
Yeah. All of them done a lot of voice work.
You think that these guys, they're Shakespearean actors, they're real professional actors. The fact that they were doing video games and literally anything to do with Lord of the Rings, we're like, yeah, I'll do. I'm there. Like even now today with the games we're still playing that are like 15, 20 years old, their voices are still in it. Like this, I would hate it if it was somebody else's voice. I'm like, I'm not playing that. I would actually boycott stuff like no, that's not Ian McKellen. That's not. It's like no.
There is Lord of the Rings games where there is other people voicing them, but they are really, really good. Like the War in the North is one where the narration is supposed to be Gandalf, but it's not him. Like, but yeah, it somehow works really well for the game because you're like, this actor's got a deeper voice than Ian, so it's like,
There's always exceptions, but just for me, when you think of Gandalf, you think of Ian McKellen.
Oh yeah.
And now the fact is, there's these rumors that he might even have a little cameo in the Amazon series. I'm like, I'm all over that.
He's apparently gonna be in it.
Ooh. Don't get my hopes up now. Come on, don't get me.
He's apparently gonna be in it.
Like
there's even a chance that we're gonna see young versions of some of the characters we've seen in The Hobbit and in The Lord of the Rings.
That's interesting now, because the new series, that this new Amazon thing is set in the Second Age, which is like 1,000 or a couple of thousand years.
3,000.
There you go, 3,000 years. So you could do anything you wanted to. Now,
like the fact that we're gonna see Sauron in his elvish form is like, hang on a minute, that's gonna basically lead into the Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor games.
Yes.
And we get to see him like that. And then you get to see like Celebrimbor, you get to see that kind of thing where the rings of power getting forged. It's like, ooh, hang on. This is interesting.
Yeah. Yep. There's like even you're talking about Numenor being in it. You're talking about
that concept has me all over.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like we could actually see, obviously we only saw a couple of minutes of the Last Alliance, the battle with the Last Alliance.
Yep.
Imagine that being a couple of episodes long, Game of Thrones style stuff. You're like, oh shit, man.
I was only telling Niall there. A friend of mine sent me a fact thing about the Lord of the Rings, saying that they needed to use women for the filming for the Rohirrim scene in The Return of the King, and I was like, it's the same for the new series. They've used women for orcs as well because of how big they want the battle scenes to be.
Yeah.
And the fact is, like, the actual ending of this series is of the Last Alliance. That battle is the end of basically the end of the series.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you go from the start
Yeah.
of 3,000 years going all the way to that.
But it's handy because like you can, with that big wide like space of time, you can literally like start at the start, and then with each season there's a passing of time.
Yeah.
When something else is happening, leading up to when they eventually decide to finish the series is the last alliance, like the battle.
Yeah,
So,
through
like,
through the second age, you have obviously the Battle of the Last Alliance, but you have like Sauron coming into power. You have Celebrimbor forging the rings, giving the rings to everyone. But then you also have likes of the war between dwarves and elves, dwarves and orcs, elves and orcs, like, and then like you also have like Rohan, basically becoming Rohan.
The starting of Rohan. Then you've got the Rise and Fall of Numenor. Now,
Numenor.
Now that for me. This is like the golden age of men type of thing. Like, it's when you get to the Lord of the Rings, men are broken. Men are like, couldn't be arsed doing this shit anymore.
It's really funny looking at that concept of how broken men are.
Yeah.
You're just like during the Lord of the Rings, like Angmar, which was the Kingdom of Arnor, is gone. Just about a couple of thousand fucking Dunedain lying around. You're like, that was a massive kingdom, and it's gone.
It was huge. Like, you look at the Weathertop scene. Weathertop used to be a huge outpost for Numenor and for men, and it's ruins. Like, it's just completely gone. And the fact that you've got the Witch King in Lord of the Rings, we could see the rise and all of the Witch King, and like the rise of the Nazgul. Oh my God! Like how they became the Nazgul. They were men. They were kings, and they turned them like, oh sweet Jesus! Like, just the fact that they're throwing. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, Canada. You probably know more than me now. They threw $1 billion at the first season, didn't they?
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. That just goes to show you how serious they are about
like this. The biggest TV show ever being produced. Fucking Amazon.
And I love the fact that I love the fact that Jeff Bezos, obviously the guy who owns Amazon, has come out and said, well, we really wanted to do this because during the 90s, was it the 90s or whatever it was, Lord of the Rings was the highest selling book they had. And that's why he wanted to do it. I'm like, oh my God, he's just a big fanboy. This guy who's the richest man in the world is just thrown $1 billion at the very first season. Not just the whole series, the very first season.
Like the fact that you're going to see the rise of Gondor as well.
Millions of dollars.
Like the fact you're going to see the fall of Numenor.
We don't see Gandalf, they can all fuck off though.
You know full well that's just a case of nerds with money.
Oh yeah.
Nerds with money, just like, okay.
Nerds with money makes lots more money.
Like the fact that we know that Gandalf is thousands of years old, because in the race of like wizards, they're actually considered to be higher than Numenors and elves.
Like, they're almost like higher. Angels.
Basically, they are.
Yeah. No, I can't. I do get my names. So many different things, so many names for different things in it. But I think it's the Ainur that Gandalf was part of. But you have to understand that so is Sauron. Sauron's an Ainur as well. But you have to look at it and go, well, why is he so much more powerful than Gandalf? Gandalf has been his power has kind of been muted somewhat because he came from the Undying Lands. He came to Middle Earth. And so he had to be human. He had to be mortal. So he couldn't be this all-powerful being that he was previously. But with Sauron would have been similar. But the fact that Sauron got a lot of his power from Morgoth, who was his master, and Morgoth would leech his power off to his servants to make them more powerful. And that's where Sauron got his power. So ultimately, Sauron? No, that's Star Trek. Sauron and Gandalf are of the same race, basically. It's just one is a little bit more powerful than the other because of obviously varying reasons. But there's so much. Like obviously, we're going to have to see Elrond, because Elrond's been around since the beginning.
Yeah, you're going to see Elrond and his brother, who was the last king of Numenor, and which is weird because it's like a big weird family circle, because he's technically related to Aragon as well. So it's like, wait, hang on, what the fuck happened here?
Yeah, it's all inbred. They're all dirty fuckers.
Aragon, the adopted son of Elrond. Like, it's mad. It's mad how that works out, though.
Yeah,
like,
but the fact
the
that
way it plays out.
it says he's basically adopted son, where he's technically not. They're actually related.
Yeah.
And it's fucking just like, what the fuck has happened in this bloodline?
Let's be honest. Like Aragorn kind of married his cousin. So
yeah,
damn Shelbyville bastards marrying their cousins.
Shake on the boy. No, but like, it's like to have like $1 billion be thrown at the fourth season alone. It is like,
and they're aiming for like 5 or something. They were saying.
So like, think of that. Like, the potential for it to be done very, very right is there, but at the same time, it could also be done very, very wrong, and it could very easily happen.
Well, see, this is the thing about this series, and I follow a couple of guys on TikTok. I'm going to name drop these lads now. Ace Condor 30 is one of the guys that I follow, and Don Marshall 72. These are, if you want information on specific things in the lore of Lord of the Rings, and you've not read the books, you've not read the Silmarils or anything like that, you need to follow these guys simply for the fact that they're going into so much more detail than you can possibly get. Otherwise, you'd have to read the books, and the books are not. But the thing about one of the guys was talking there just over the last few days is how he is a bit worried simply because of the new series. Because what's been happening is they have come out and said that there are certain parts of it that they've changed. Tolkien's son was part of the project, and then he died. But literally immediately after he died, they changed scripts, they changed ideas, they changed so many things around because they said they wanted to make it grittier, they wanted to make it darker, almost like Game of Thrones. That's not what Lord of the Rings is. Lord of the Rings was always about bad things happening, but there's always hope, and there's always the promise of a better day, and that's what Tolkien wrote about. He wanted to write about, things may be bad, but you can always hope. Whereas Game of Thrones is just like, well, everyone's gonna die. Let's just kill everyone. Yeah, and that's the end of that. There's always hope in Lord of the Rings. You look at, there's a great speech that Gandalf has in The Hobbit when he's talking to Galadriel about how he can find hope in the smallest of things and the smallest of people. And that's why he thinks that Bilbo and Frodo are the perfect people for this job, because you don't have to be a mighty man of Gondor or anything like that. It's just the way it is.
It's really funny in that concept how they're like, in the Lord of the Rings you have ring bearers who are people who carry the ring of power, and you had like hobbits, how long they had the ring and it never corrupted them. Like it started to turn Bilbo slightly, and like Frodo, where it was like they wanted to keep it, but it wasn't it wasn't anything malicious or horrible. It was like, this is mine, this is my burden, I'm the one that's gonna look after it. Like Bilbo had that ring for fucking years. Like obviously it gives him the like long life and all that jazz.
He had that for what, like 70 odd years or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think what it was even in he's supposed to be in his 40s, 50s in The Hobbit.
Yeah, and then
of course in the Lord of the Rings you see the 111th. 111 Bertie, 61 years. Or 60 odd years.
When he left,
he had a long time and it didn't turn him like Gollum.
Like, I mean, like Frodo had it for, like, he was he was entrusted with the ring, but like he had it for at least like several years before he actually left Hobbiton, didn't he?
Go on, take a guess. How long? How many years?
It was like 8 years, wasn't it? Was it 7? Oh, you had it for a whole year, was it?
Go on, Gerry, hit him with it.
Lad, Carl, tell him. Don't be mean. Carl, tell him.
I'm not the one pretending to be an expert. Like,
I'm not being an expert. Fuck that shit. But no, I'm
not an expert either. I'm just going to say I love Lord of the Rings.
They've like the fact that like Bilbo, or what were age of Frodo when he started his thing? He was the oldest out of them all, so you would have been 30.
He was
Google
young.
search there.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember because I'm like,
because he was
It's
very
okay,
young.
Frodo was
Technically
quite
30.
young, but they had to wait many years. See, when Gandalf left the Shire, it was like, right, keep it secret, keep it safe. He had to go and find information. It wasn't a quick trip up to Gondor, up to Minas Tirith, and oh, geez, I better get back there quick. It's years.
Mm.
And Carl's going to tell us exactly now. I think it's going to be about 50.
51.
There you go. It was 1 year out. It took
1 year
Gandalf
out.
50 years to find out.
That's scary. Although that's one of the things that we never got to see was Aragorn and Gandalf going looking for Gollum. When Aragorn finds Gollum, brings him to Rivendell and everything, you don't get to see that. That would have been unreal. And then the fact you don't get to see Aragorn's story of him when he went to Rohan and fought with Théoden's grandfather, or no, Eowyn's grandfather, and like the King Théoden was only a child then. You're like, wait, what the fuck? So Aragorn would have been in his like 30s or something back then, or 20s or something, fighting them battles.
Yeah, you see, Aragorn was Aragorn's name and all was changed to disguise him to keep him safe from Sauron.
Oh,
so then he would have been sent out into the world. And
what did he have? Aragorn, Strider.
He had another.
It was more of an elfish name. More of an elfish name.
Yeah,
it was more of an elfish name. But he helped Rohan. He even fought for Gondor. He fought with Denethor's father.
Denethor's father, yeah.
So he's been out there kind of protecting Middle Earth from Sauron for years before we actually come to the Lord of the Rings. So I would have liked to see more of a backstory.
Elisar.
Now,
that was his name.
Elisar.
There you go.
I was like,
we're probably not going to see.
I was like, I know this.
To see much of. Yeah, we're probably not going to see much of kind of his backstory.
You might see a tiny piece
of the story of his ancestors. Yeah, because obviously with the Last Alliance, you're going to see Isildur.
Yeah, you'll see Isildur.
Saying that name, Isildur.
Isildur.
Yeah, Isildur.
Yeah, because you see his father
as well, who was the original holder of the sword that's behind Carl there. There it is.
Actually, that's not true. Because that sword is actually forged by Elrond to become the one it is. It was called Narsil before that, and then it became
Narsil, and then
Andolin, Flame of the West, was when it was reforged by Elrond. So it's technically had two names in its lifetime. But it's really funny that sword has been around since Numenor. So it's like fuck.
Like with that, that's just, like it's just that remind me because like of some of the things that you had told me before is that some of the changes from the book to the films is that like Aragorn never had the sword in the film, but yeah, in the book,
he actually had
it. He'd actually had it nearly the whole time.
The only thing he wasn't given was the scepter of the kings by Elrond. He kept that, and he basically said, I'll give it to you when you reunite the kingdoms of Gondor and Arnor. And basically that was his pledge. But he was like, here's the sword. And he had that sword through basically the entire second movie and third movie. But we only see him getting it in the third movie. Where in the book he's had it for fucking years.
He's had it for ages, yeah.
Like, what are, like, obviously you would know more than I would, but like what would be like some of the changes from now? I will ask about like the Hobbit, but like in regards to the original trilogy, like the Lord of the Rings, like Fellowship, like what are the biggest differences from the films to the books?
Oh wow.
Like that all right, I'll make it simple. Like what are some of the changes that should have been in it that would have explained a lot more?
The Battle of Helm's Deep being a big one. The fact that like it shows the orcs literally walking straight up to Helm's Deep, but it doesn't show the fact that before Helm's Deep there was actually another like fucking wall where there was where the river was. There was another entrance where there was actually guards there that held them off. And then they retreated back into Helm's Deep. Like there's a lot of stuff from the second movie that's in the books that's not actually in the movies.
So much.
Like even the fact that like fucking some of the characters that are in it have much more in the books.
You look at the books. There's so much in the book. You just couldn't have them all in them films because you would have had to have a trilogy for each bleeding book.
Literally, yeah.
So you much like.
I would well believe that because like Tolkien did go into such detail with a lot of it.
The fact that he created music, he created languages. The fact he went into so much detail of their attires and everything just for these books, like
he did actually go and he was already building the world, but like in regards to like hobbits, they were a late addition that he just tried to like figure in, but he left them with a certain mystique as well that like people couldn't really figure out how they just were there, how they really came to existence.
We know about how elves, men, and dwarves came into the world. And then we like through the Silmarillion you learn how.
I love hobbits.
Teeters, what's precious teeters? Potatoes.
Boil them, mash them, stew them.
Stick them in a stew. Learn the fucking words.
No, but like it's.
This is what I love about Tolkien, right? I love the fact that he was asked about, where did you get your ideas for the various races in Middle Earth? And I couldn't tell you what he thought about Gondor or Rohan or the Orcs or anything like that, but he based the hobbits on Ireland. He based the hobbits on Irish people. That's who it was.
Where he got Rohan from was
the Irish
Europe.
are the hobbits.
He got Rohan from the men of Europe, like riding on cavalry back and stuff like that, and like stuff like that. Gondor is just an OP powerhouse. Just anyone that had a big army back in the day, and like if you look at the Gondor armor, it's quite similar to the style of medieval to almost Roman armor. The fact that it's shaped around the body, it's not clunky. You can see men moving in it. They're like it's made to be like worn like real armor. How you can move and fight with it, so fluid. It's basically a second skin. But it's the grand, like the helmets, how grand they are, like how they have. Some of them have the top pointed on it,
the sign of stature.
Basically, yeah. Like the Haradrim was another one, which is based on Middle East.
Like they, I'm trying to remember myself because
that's when you look at them, it's very Middle Eastern, from the style, from the accents, from all of that.
The horses, riding on horseback and like stuff like that, elephants and stuff like that. The way, like, which is even funnier because there's bits in that movie where you're like, they weren't in the book.
It's like no elephants in this book.
It's
whatsoever.
like it's very similar to the Hobbit, like the Battle of the Five Armies, where it's like they had the goats, and it's like
there's so much. Like you look at goats. Like even from the first book and the first film.
Oh yeah, Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh. Like even the character progressions through the first book is different to the actual movie, and you're like, hang on a minute. Like, to anyone who's actually read them books cover to cover, and then you look at it going, hold on a minute, there's something not right here. Like, there's certain aspects of characters, their attitudes even, is very different in the movie than it is to the book.
Exactly, yeah.
I think the only one that stays true to character is almost Gandalf, and because Ian McKellen wouldn't let them do it. But, like, the fact is, like, the hobbits are they're bang on to what Tolkien wanted. Like, bang on. Same with dwarves, and elves are pretty much into it. It's just men. The way they use, like, Boromir's character, and the fact that, like, the corruption and stuff with him with the ring. It's like, hang on a minute. He's descendant of Numenor as well. He was actually, like, his whole thing is to be brave, like, show courage to others, like, build everyone up. But then when you actually read the books and look at his brother Faramir, you can see there's differences in them.
Oh yeah.
How Faramir didn't let the corruption get to him or the greed of men. He showed true strength.
He also
showed
he showed restraint in that he knew that the hobbits had the ring, but he did not want to like
take it. He said no.
He didn't want to take it. He didn't want to tempt fate more than
where Boromir was like, I want to take this. I want to use it. It's like, wow, you're a sealed door number fucking 2.
Yeah. Well, you see, the corruption, it was the corruption of the ring. The ring corrupted him because he was a man, and it took real strength of will for anyone who was around the ring to resist it. Like, even look at what Gandalf says in what Ian McKellen's Gandalf says in the first film. Bilbo offers him the ring.
He
could say, "Oh, I could take this to do good, but through me it would wield an evil, more powerful and terrible."
And Frodo offers him,
Frodo offers it to him. Yeah, he knew that, he without touching it, he would use it as good. But as soon as he touched it, that was the end of him. It was the same with Galadriel as well. She went and she said, I could take this and become a queen. I could become more terrible than the sea and this, that, and the other. But she said no, and she diminished.
Where they were at the mirror. And we see that weird crazy power of hers where she turns into that fucking dark shit. That's just a snippet of what she could do.
Oh, she was extremely powerful. She would have been almost as powerful as Sauron, but for the fact that she wouldn't fight.
The fact that because she wasn't in the Undying Lands, her powers were so diminished. Like every time she used it, she was getting weaker and weaker.
Exactly. Like you saw her in, like, let's take the Hobbit movies for instance. Even though none of this stuff happens in the Hobbit books, you just look at the Hobbit movies, and when she comes to save Gandalf, her power just is huge. But you see afterwards that she's like, oh shit, that certainly took a lot out of me. And even then she started to diminish, even to the point then when she saw the ring and she was like, I could take this and be all powerful, destroy Sauron and rule Middle Earth myself, but she'd be even worse than Sauron if she did, and that's what ultimately stopped her hand. But then that point she was like, I have to go. I have to go, right? Good luck. I have no more power now. Good luck. Bye. See you later. But there's so many things, you look at all the differences from the books and to the movies. The one thing that I wanted to see in The Lord of the Rings was Tom Bombadil. I wanted to see Tom Bombadil.
I would have loved to see Bombadil. Like, he's
if there was ever
technically
the website,
most
a drunken
powerful
Irishman,
person.
it's Tom Bombadil.
Oh yeah, him and his wife. I can't remember what's her name. Shit.
That's another Google search, girl.
Oh yeah, I can't remember that one off the top of my head. But like the fact that he's technically more powerful than the wizards, and you're just like, why not use him in the fucking movie?
Yeah, see, the thing about it is that it's hinted, right, and it is only hinted that Tom Bombadil is more than he appears to be. But the hinting is that he's actually. No, I can never remember this guy's name, but it's basically the Middle Earth god, the all-powerful god, that he is some part of him. That's the one. It's hinted in the books that it's only speculation. It's kind of fan theory more than ever. So there's little subtle hints that he's definitely more powerful. He's definitely more than he appears to be.
Yeah, like the fact that like Manwë was the king of basically all the gods, but then above him was I can never pronounce this fucker's name. Iluvatar? Something like that. Iluvatar, something like that. It's so hard to pronounce it because it's just it's like
it's a weird name.
It's like 3 letters and then it's the name again. Like it's so hard. Like and like the fact that like these were the people who ruled over Middle Earth in the first age, and then they fucking just vanished. You're like, they just went to the Undying Lands and they were like, we're just gonna chill across the water here and just have a few beers and just kick back. Like, gives a flagon of wine there. Like, it's like, you not see what you have caused, you fuckwits. Go back there and sort out Morgoth and fucking Sauron,
like a true politician. It's like, here, you deal with it. We're done.
Yeah, you see, this is the thing about Sauron. Everyone thinks, oh, big bad Sauron. He's this big fucker and he's terrible. he is nothing compared to his master, which was
Morgoth.
Morgoth.
Like, you look at the armies that Sauron had. He had orcs. He had the Haradrim. He had
Men of Ruin.
he had all of that. Well, Morgoth had an army of Balrogs and dragons, an army of them. That's how everything was it was scorched earth when it came to him. And the fact that that was when the elves actually had to, like, actually, lads, I think we need to maybe, get involved here and start killing a few orcs and start killing a few Balrogs.
Like, that's like in the Silmaril, they talk about that, where they're like the first age where it was not the gods. They were sitting on their thrones and they were like, okay, you can go do that. You go get me a Silmaril from Morgoth's lair and all to Fengon or whatever the fuck his name was.
Fengel,
and it's like, hang on a minute. You're sending people with no power with a bit of armor and a sword to go into fucking fight this bastard. Like, he was got an army of fucking Balrogs just chilling there.
Like even like there was I can't remember the name. It's so many names, Foxy. Honest to God, there's so many names, and you just can't remember them. But there was a giant spider that was controlled by Morgoth. That was in, and that is Shelob's mother.
Yeah.
But she was the size of a mountain.
I can't think of her name.
She also her Morgoth went and she drank from the 2 divine trees, or I think it was, and that's what caused her to, she basically absorbed the power from both trees.
Yeah.
So much so that it scared Morgoth.
Oh yeah.
Ungoliant.
That's the one.
Ungoliant.
Sure, you have the Balrogs actually have names, which is scary. Like the king of them was brought into the Edain game for Battle for Middle-earth 2, the mod. What the fuck was his name? Oh shit, starts with a G. Fuck. That's gonna annoy the bollock at me. But where you see Balrogs are all the fire with the orange with the black. This guy wasn't. He was purple. His fire was purple, and he wielded an axe. He was such a big fucker, and the fact that these all existed in the first age and they're still technically in Middle Earth, buried under the ground.
Yeah,
deep underground.
That's why when Gandalf talks about the elves, not the elves, the dwarves dwelt too deep, and they uncovered the
Balrog
the Bane,
Durin's Bane.
Durin's Bane. It's because that Balrog was just sitting there minding his own business, buried under the earth, and then the orcs, the dwarves came along. They're like, "Oh, what's this big? Oh shit! I'm dead. Good luck. See you later."
That's another thing with the likes of the books and the movie. You never got you had the battle of the Battle of Five Armies, but you never got, and you see Lord Dane come in, where it's but it's all Azog around, leading that force. But in the book, he's dead. It's Bolg leads that force. Azog's son.
Azog was you read about Azog in the
Hobbits,
Unfinished Tales and stuff like that. That's all you don't see him in the Hobbit at all. He's just simply not there. You look at the differences between the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit. The Hobbit is one book, and they changed it into
Gothmog.
3 movies.
That was his fucking name.
Gothmog. There you go.
That stupid Balrog I couldn't remember.
Well, you look at the Hobbit. The Hobbit was one book, and it was the shortest of all of the 4 books, right? But they made it into a trilogy. But yet they took the bigger books, 3 books, made it into singular films, and you're like, no, you just did that arseways, lads. You did it all the wrong way around. Now, when it comes to
the fact that Hobbit is all about dwarves and all, you could have included the Battle of oh, here we go. What's the name of it? Oh, bollocks. Battle of Marziblon or something like that. Where
it's a really, really long name.
Yeah, it's really long.
Far too long for anybody to remember.
The fact that you get to see in that battle, it's Azog slays the king of the dwarves trying at time, but you're like,
no, Thor.
No. You're Thor, sorry, yeah.
Thor, yeah.
You're like, no, he didn't. He slayed Dane's father. And it's like Dane then went up and killed Hazard by lopping off his head. And it's like,
Yeah.
you was done that harsh ways, lads.
It was so arse. It's like you look at, they kept out so much from the original trilogy, and then they put in so much into the Hobbit trilogy that you're like, that's not in it. Legolas is not in the Hobbit.
He's
He's in the movie.
He's mentioned in the book like once, and that's it.
Yeah, it's a pure mention,
just
and that
a
was
mention.
it. He's not in it. He's not
And
in
then
the film.
like the fact that they're the way they go on in the books, you're just like, there's so many details you're leaving out that people will be going, see, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
No. Hang
there was
on.
no love triangle. There was zero love triangle in the Hobbit because there was no female elf.
There was no female elf, yeah.
Obviously, you know, they saw how things were going in terms of, you know, they wanted to be more inclusive, and they needed to include a female hero in it. So that's where she came in. But there was no love triangle. Obviously, you know, the hobbits that die in the movies also did die in the books. But it was no like, oh, one went to rescue a female elf because he fell in love with her. There was none of that.
No.
You know, there was so much that they decided to change. Like the White Council, and the fact that the White Council went off to save Gandalf. That wasn't in the books. There was nothing about Gandalf. You know, you heard about Gandalf going off to try and find out what was going on, but then he came back. But there was nothing. You didn't see anything about Dol Guldur, and you didn't see anything about all the Nazgul coming back. You didn't see it. You heard a little bit about Gandalf going off to find out necromancer, but then that was it. There was nothing. There was nothing else.
It's almost as bad as the Fellowship of the Ring, where the fact that Eowyn, sorry, whatever you want to finds like Aragorn with the hobbits, where he's like, what's this? A stranger caught off his guard, and you're like, bullshit, because that's not her. She's not even there.
No.
It's Glorfindel finds them.
Glorfindel, yeah.
And brings them to the room. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit like?
Yeah, because he's completely changed it all around.
The fact that he's not mentioned in the movies, and he's the strongest elven warrior, and is the right hand man of like Elrond. You're like, why is he not mentioned?
You see, Foxy, this is what I'm talking about. Glorfindel, right? This is when the elves went against Morgoth. They had to go in and kick ass because it was elves versus fucking Balrogs, and Glorfindel killed 2 by himself.
Solo, like.
Killed 2 by himself. Now, obviously, you know, you could say, okay, well, Gandalf killed 1. Okay,
yeah, he had power, but then he died. And shit.
Yeah, but then he died.
Yeah,
he had to be brought back. Whereas Glorfindel was like, no, I can just take these 2 lads off. Well, that's great. Here we go.
Crack the thing. Fucking here, hold me shield for a minute. I just need the
hold my beer.
Hold my earrings. Hold my earrings.
No, hold my beer while I go kill a Balrog.
Like the fact that like they don't mention, and then like in the books, you hear mention of Elrond's sons, Elrohir and Elodan, but you don't see them in the movie at all.
Nope, none.
And the fact that when that meeting of Rivendell, you actually see them there, like in the books, they go around talking to people. And it's like, hang on, go back. Like you missed the part where like Frodo talks to Gloin in the books, he's talking about how Bilbo went and fought at like Smaug and everything, and it's like, that would have been so nice to see that little conversation, even if it was 3 or 4 minutes long.
Yeah, we saw Gloin in the Hobbit, but you only you
see him literally standing right behind Gimli.
Yeah, they're literally there, but you don't really see him. He's there, but you don't really see him. But there's so many things that they change in it. But for the fact that even though like you can be a huge book fan, you can also be a huge movie fan. Like I absolutely love the movies. I absolutely love, like if I have the 3 of them in front of me, it's like, okay, well obviously you have to go Fellowship and then 2 Towers and
Return of the King. Yeah,
I tend to kind of move towards the 2 Towers first because it's just
a lot of people do. A lot of people will go for 2 Towers first. Granted, a lot of people prefer the Battle of Helm's Deep to the Battle of Pelennor Fields, and it's like, yes and no. Like the fact that the Battle of Helm's Deep, where it's like when Éomer and Gandalf come down the side of that fucking mountain, it's like, one thing, them horses would all be dead because they'd all have fallen over because of how steep it is. And it's like, 2, it doesn't really make sense. And it's like, okay, yeah, whatever. And then the fact that like in certain concepts of the Battle of Pelennor Fields, you're like, why? Hang on, what's happening here? Like, lads, you're bringing up fucking Wolf's head to smash down the gate at Minas Tirith and all. Then it's like all these horses of Rohan and all, and you're just like, this battle is way better than Helm's Deep. You get a lot more in it.
I do particularly like that one because there's so much. You've got the initial charge like that. That when they're they hear the horns blowing, and you're like, what's that? And then they all start to form up, and you're like, oh my god, on this fantastic 12,000 horses, and they're just charging the orcs.
And you're just like
right through them. You're like, yeah, fucking I like them. But see, the thing is, in the book, the armies are bigger.
Oh yeah,
That's way bigger. The armies were way
bigger.
And the fact that even when after the Battle of Pelennor Fields and in the books, when they go, right, lads, we have to go to the Black Gate. We have to cause this distraction. We have to let Frodo do his job. They left all together. So the armies of Rohan and the armies of Gondor left together, and they were a lot fucking bigger. And as they're going, they're fighting these little battles along the way, defeating orcs along the way, going to all these little towns and minor cities and things along the way, collecting more lads. So by the time they get to the Black Gate, the fucking army's huge.
Like in that battle in the Black Gate,
it's like token.
There's about 100 of them in a little circle, and you're like, against 10,000, like, lads, come on, for fuck's sake, like.
Yeah.
Like in the book, it
was a lot. There was thousands of people,
way more
thousands
than that.
Of men. Yeah.
And the fact the one thing I don't like about the movies compared to the books is you do not hear one mention of the Battle of the North. Of what? But actually, that's a lie. You do. You hear a little bit from Gandalf. But
I would have loved to see that.
I would have loved to see that. Of Dale.
Yeah.
Where like you have King Dain defending King Bran's body at the fucking gates of Erebor. It was like, where was that battle? That would have been amazing. And the fact that like how old he was, like
it would
in
have
that
been
battle,
epic.
Like Dain would have been 275 in around that, like which is old for the dwarf, like, and still wielding an axe, strong, like as strong as he did when he killed fucking Azog hundreds of years ago. Like you're just like, lads, that battle would have been epic.
You look at Dain from The Hobbit, and he was, You look at Dain from the movie, the Hobbit movies, and he was played by Billy Connolly. And I
have to admit, it was really
good. How he
good.
went on, how he acted in it, it was fantastic. Now imagine that. Imagine him in the Lord of the Rings, like you're saying there. He's at the gates of Erebor, and he's a couple of centuries old now at this stage, and he's still knocking the bollocks out, lads. I'm like, yeah, I wanted to see that. I wanted to see the dragon attack. I wanted to see all of it.
The fact though that I would have loved to see him holding the red axe, not the fucking stupid hammer he has in it. I'm like, hang on, give him his axe, the axe he had brought with him everywhere that he used to kill Azog with, and he still has it at that battle of like Erebor and Dale. You're just like, where's that axe? And the fact that like in the Hobbit they've like the dwarves come in with these siege engines, you're like, nope. that didn't happen. Either did the Rams because they didn't have them. And you're just like, fuck you. Like,
you can kind of understand they wanted to show you something special. So that bit where the elves are firing their arrows at the dwarves, and all of a sudden this twirly whirly things go in the air.
Oh, the Baruch-Hazar. Next one, I'll just say like. But it's really funny. The camera pounds away, so you don't get to see all these elves dying, because all you can hear is go like a meat grinder. You're like, but how many of them died? We want to see that.
They didn't want to be gruesome.
You'll happily give us orcs. You happily give us orcs dying, but no, you can't kill them.
You get fucking orcs decapitated and soldiers missing arms and legs and all. It was like,
I think they were
getting attacked. Nah,
I think they were the characters that were the proxy for it. It's like, all right, we need some sort of horrific violence, right? Let's see an orc get decapitated, like things like that. It's just like,
fucking lurds in the first one getting stabbed, and then
it's never any other like race in it. It's always like the orcs, and it's just like,
that's true.
When I was watching, obviously we were watching through the Hobbit like series, and Carl was pointing at the differences, like stuff that isn't happening in it as opposed to the book. But like throughout the films, I'm just like, So this is Star Wars just in medieval times, and then Harry Potter, and it's like, yep. So they're stealing everything from Lord of the Rings. It's like nice.
Oh yeah.
No wonder
Yeah,
everyone
literally.
likes them.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree. But for me, there is no comparison. Like I love Star Wars, lads, and you know I love Star Wars. I love, uh, Harry Potter. I love all stuff like that. But at the end of the day, nothing compares to Lord of the Rings. They can't compare it. And from the books to the movies, you just can't compare.
What's beautiful about it is that it's a franchise that is so in depth. Like you really do have to like devote a lot of time to learn everything about it. I mean, like I can see why some people don't like it because of that. Like it's very intimidating how in depth that whole world and the mythos and the lore of everything is. But I mean, like as you if you just gradually do it, it's just like you get better appreciation, which is what I've been doing recently.
Mm.
It's like watching the films, finding the differences, watching the lore like videos on YouTube. It's just like
Yeah,
learn about these different events that happened or different characters that
yeah.
could have
And
been.
there's so much more than just the movies. Now I know
Mm,
it can be a very difficult thing to read the books because as good of a writer as Tolkien was, they're difficult reads. But when you get through them and you see there's so much going on, so much more than you could ever have imagined, you're like, this is more in depth than any book series that you will ever hope to read. Like I read so many kind of fantasy style books. There's an author that I love because Raymond E. Feist. He wrote Magician and the Rift War Saga, which is 20 odd books long. Absolutely loved them from start to finish. But even then, it doesn't go into as much as Tolkien does. Like Tolkien was
mm,
just a master. Like he invented so many things for his books.
Like the fact
Just
that he
unbelievable.
created Elvish, he
Mhm.
created Khuzdul, which is the dwarven language. He created all these other languages like the Black speech of Mordor, which is apparently similar to Elvish, but it's not.
Mhm.
Like it's really funny, like the fact that how much time and effort, like the songs that were sung in The Hobbit and in The Lord of the Rings were actually written in the books by
Mhm.
Tolkien.
Yeah.
And it's like, how did he have like he's such a genius to come up with all these
Mhm.
like oh
Like you look at that song, even that song that they sung, the dwarves sung in the first when they're in Bilbo's house, when they're in Bag End, and the song that they sung while they were there in the movies, that's like a
blood the
page or two
knives.
long. It's really long in the book, and you're like, it's so unbelievably beautifully written. You're like, Jesus Christ, this is just like you have to say to yourself, how did he come up with this?
The fact
Like,
that they missed out with so much of that scene as well, like being in
yeah,
Bilbo's house and all, you're like, bastard, like there's so
yeah.
much you could have done with that.
Like they stretched it out to three movies. They didn't have to take all this stuff out and add in pointless stuff. They
Uh
like just like Bayorn, brilliant, fantastic character, very
such a good
underutilized
character.
in the films. So underutilized. There's so much more they could have done. Now, again, I cannot emphasize this enough. I love these films.
Oh, so do I.
Absolutely love
They're
them.
my favorite thing to
The,
watch in
the
the world.
the the first trilogy and the second trilogy. You just give me anything with Ian McKellen dressed up as a wizard. I'm all for that, lads. I'm all for that. Absolutely. He is just amazing. And if they hadn't have included him in The Hobbit, it wouldn't have been
It
it
wouldn't have
would
been
have
as
been
good.
even more hated than a lot of people. A lot
mm.
of people don't
The
like it,
only
but
problem is they would have had to because in the book he's there. It's
Mhm.
just like you can't really do it without him.
Exactly.
Technically.
It was Gandalf that started this whole thing off. Gandalf brought Bilbo out, and then eventually it was Gandalf that brought Frodo out. So
Yep.
there you go. He's the kind of the main guy all along, really.
It's really funny the concept how like in the Hobbit it was Gandalf who persisted Thorin to retake Erebor. And
Mhm.
then in the Lord of the Rings, it's him persistent, like not really persistent, but giving him like a little nudge to say, Frodo, like this is your quest, you do it.
Mhm.
You're just like, this guy's bringing bad luck to fucking everyone. Like, fuck me. But like in the end, it magically works. You're like, it works out. Like you get the good and the bad, but it works out really well. Like the fact that in the Hobbit, like you lose the the king and the two heirs. You lose Philly, Killy, and Thorin. But then you have Dain, who is direct descendant. And then it's even funnier is you're like, well, that's kind of weird because now you're opening up a new bloodline where you have Dain, you have Balin, Dwalin, you've Gloin, Gimli. They're all Doran's folk. Like it's like Jesus, like you go from being one bad thing to like opening up like so much more.
Yeah.
Like and the fact that like they say like Balin's thing at the end of the Hobbit where he says like there be no like there where he's like songs to be sung and tales to be told and all, and it's like they're finding goodness in this. They're finding happy times in this, not sadness, not like depression.
Yeah, that was Tolkien's whole thing. Is like you look at say George R. R. Martin and how he wrote Game of Thrones. There's very little hope in any of it because so many bad things happen. All your favorite characters pretty much fucking die in it. Whereas
Sean Bean.
Sean Bean.
First episode.
Poor fucker dies in everything. I swear to God.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing about it is that you look at Lord of the Rings, and as all this bad stuff is happening, there is always hope. And the one thing is that even though it's Frodo, and Frodo's the main guy in it, Tolkien himself said that he saw the real hero in all of it to be Sam.
Yeah.
Sam was the real hero because he was the one that couldn't be corrupted. He was the one that held the ring and happily gave it back to Frodo without, this is what I didn't like about the film is that when, Sam says, "Oh, I took the ring only to keep it safe," but then it seems like he's slightly reluctant to give it back to Frodo. No, there is no reluctance. He gives it to Frodo because he knows it's the right thing to do because Frodo's the ring bearer, and he didn't become corrupted at all. Like you look at Sam. Sam became mayor of the Shire.
The Shire.
He called his kids after all his friends. Yep. And then eventually when after his wife died and his children grew old and he was like, well, I think it's time for me to go now. He was one of the last people that was allowed to go to the Undying Lands to be with Frodo. Now,
the fact that it was just because he was a ring bearer as well. So
yeah, a lot of people think that when you go to the Undying Lands, oh, that's it, it's heaven. It's actually not. It's another continent across the sea. It's not actually heaven. It's another continent. So eventually Sam and Frodo and Bilbo will actually die.
The fact that like
to whatever
Undying
heaven
Lands
actually
is it's weird. Like when you have to kind of read the Silmarillion to understand it. The fact that like there's two trees there like that blossom and stuff like that, and like it keeps everyone young, and basically makes them immortal. But that's only elves.
Yeah.
That's not.
Well, it's the
elves.
It's the Ainur, so the likes of Gandalf.
Well, Gandalf, yeah. But you're like, if you bring a hobbit, a dwarf, which Gimli eventually goes to the Undying Lands with Legolas, like, and it's like, he's gonna die, where Legolas will live on. And then, like, but the fact, I think what's really good about like the story is like the friendships in it, how they stay there after like Frodo leaves and goes off. Yeah. Like where Merry and Pippin go traveling again they go to Rivendell, they go through Rohan, they go to Gondor, back to Aragorn, and they stay there till they die. And they're buried with Aragorn.
Yeah.
It's like that friendship is amazing. And the fact that like Legolas and Gimli had such a strong friendship, and you're like
the sheer level of detail. Like I know I was given out about like he describes every blade of grass in the field that they're walking through, but that just goes to show how detailed all these books are. Like from a friendship that shouldn't have been between an elf and a dwarf blossomed into probably the best friendship in the fucking thing, apart from Merry and Pippin and Frodo and Sam. But it just there's, as I said to you, there's hope in every aspect of it. People who should be enemies turn into friends, and it blossoms from there, and every part of it gives you hope.
There are
dark moments.
Rohan and Gondor.
Yeah, exactly.
There's another one like where it's like, where was Gondor when the Westfall fell? You're like, hang on a minute. Go ask for their help, and they will send it.
Yeah.
And like the fucking movie, like you see all these people, like you see Prince Imrahil of Dalamrat for what 10 seconds on a fucking screen, where in the books he's a huge part of that defense of Minas Tirith.
Yeah,
like him and his Swan Knights from fucking Dalamrat. Like, you're like, dude, what the fuck, like. And even the fact that, like,
there's so much that should have been in the films that weren't.
Oh, you're just like, there's so much missing here.
It's like what Gerry said, is the fact that they got arseways, like, where like the trilogy had less stuff, like, and The Hobbit got stretched out for 3 films rather than just one single film, like long film.
The fact that I always found was weird was like the Eagles was a huge thing where people are like, why didn't they just take the Eagles and fly? It's like, you know, the Eagles have their own kingdom in the Misty Mountains and they have to defend that as well. Like, they were at war with like the stone giants, with the cave trolls and the orcs of the Misty Mountains and stuff like that, and the goblins. So they had their own kingdom to look after and their own like people.
They were also tied up with like the war in the north, weren't they?
North as well, yeah.
Yeah. Because like it also ties into that game as well.
War in the North, like that's what I was saying. Like, War in the North was so good to the fact that you get a story you didn't get to see in the movies, where it's the concept of, hang on a minute, they got to go to Mount Gundabad, they went to Nordenberg, they went to fucking all these other places before they get to that, like, to oh shit, what was the name of that fortress? The Witch King's fortress. Oh my god. No. That's Dol Guldur. No? Dol Guldur is in Mirkwood. It's up in Angmar.
You have the map.
Oh yeah.
For those that don't know, like, Carl actually has like a giant map of Middle Earth. So
it's parchment.
A parchment paper.
Cara Dun.
It's
the Witch King's fucking fortress. Like, there's so many, and the fact that there's other dragons in the actual Lord of the Rings, and we don't ever get to hear them. Yeah, it's like in the War in the North, that actually explains like how some of them weren't after gold; they were after, like, one of them wanted Cara Dun, they wanted the Witch King's fucking fortress. It's like, go for it, have it. Don't come near us.
Like, I love how they explain it, like, for Smaug, the fact that, like, when he took like the Misty Mountains, like when he
took Erebor, the Lonely Mountain.
Yeah, the Lonely Mountain, sorry. But like when he took it, he was a young dragon.
Yeah.
Like, he was basically like the equivalent of a teen, like mid-20s, say. But like with the passage of time, he grew stronger. And it's mad to think that if he's able to do that as a teen, like, the level of power that he's attained since, that's a scary thought, and you don't really they don't really show it off, which they should have.
It's the same with the Balrogs, how they say like the power that they unearthed, like the Balrogs were considered to be fucking almost godlike in strength and power, and like how they were so fucking fierce, like, but yeah, everyone was terrified of them except for certain people. Like, except for elves. Elves are like, we'll take them on. But it's like
almost fearless.
Basically, that's what they were supposed to be. But it's even funnier when like to the dwarves, like, each race was made differently. But the dwarves were ones that were made with the love of crafting and minerals. But they were made to be stone, like stone, where they're hard and fast, they're stubborn, to the fact that they can't be corrupted. Like, some were, but like nearly all of them were not corrupted. They got greedy, but that was one of the like side effects to the Ring of Powers, was greed. And you're like, the elves have their own fucking problems, where it's like they went off and done like all these things, but theirs was like solitude. They preferred being like, we're looking after our lands, our people. Fuck off to the rest of us.
It's none of our business what happens out there.
Sure, hobbits are the same, but they grew to love. Their whole thing was they love life. They love everything that grows.
They love land. Like, they love farming.
Love land,
and tobacco. And ale.
And drink. So they really are the Irish.
Irish, yeah.
They love potatoes.
They're freaking potato farmers.
Literally, Farmer Maggie. You've been in farmer it's fucking farm.
But nigger farmer maggots crop.
I
The
don't know what
name
he's
is-
complaining
Now,
about.
lads, was it his crop or was it his special crop they were after? That's all I'm saying.
I'm sure it was.
Was it that tobacco? That what's it?
Is that wacky tobacco?
What was it called? It's in
Oh.
the third movie or second movie at the end of it, where they're in
okay.
Isengard and they're like, "Old Toby." I know.
Old Toby, yeah, old
Yeah,
Toby.
and they're
Yeah,
like-
yeah.
They find the two barrels and it looks when they open it, it's like that looks a bit suspicious. That doesn't look like tobacco. That's
It's a little bit suspicious because you look at what was Radagast and his love of the pipe weed, and you're like,
pipe weed, yeah.
the pipe weed? I'm sorry, what?
And the
And
love
it's
of
in
mushrooms.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, so basically everyone's high in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
and the fact that Bombadil was the whole thing was like he loved nature and all. It's like, so he's the hippie of the story.
Pretty much.
He's the tree hugger, and it's the most powerful of them all.
You say to yourself, he's the hippie? They're all stoned as fuck.
I still like
But
just
at the end of the day, it's fantastic.
Oh,
It
that's
is.
unreal.
like just like I think about that quote for Radagast. It's like I'd like to see them try.
Oh, the
These-
Russell rabbits. These are Russell rabbits. This is. I love it. There
It's
is
just
quotes in
brilliant.
that movie that are brilliant. Like the song that Aragorn sings and Mary Pippin sing. Them two songs they're so good. Like the actual emotion that Pippin puts into singing that song is just like, holy shit, that's deep.
Like
Like-
the fact that they got him to come back and do a song for
Oh, for the Hobbit, yeah.
for the Hobbit,
Alaska
like,
Boy. What a song.
very good. Like but the like my favorite is the Misty Mountain,
Oh yeah.
where they're in like Bilbo's house and just singing. It's
a great song.
You almost went full on.
Fuck
It's
off,
like
yeah. The fact
No.
that I always found, like, Jerry, you might notice it with the movie, like the Hobbit, the second one, the Desolation of Smaug. There's actually fuck all in that to do with the dragon, like the desolation of Smaug.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
it's the third one he destroys Escaroth, like Lake Town, and you're like, he didn't die in the like they tried to kill him, but it didn't work. So it's like there's very little desolation happening in this movie. So why would you call it this?
it's a big cop out. That's
It's
all.
the
It is.
Desolation of Smaug, and it's just like there's like it's all in the first couple of minutes, and then that's it. It's done.
You're just like,
You're like,
wait, what
oh.
happened?
That's it.
The anger of Smaug, or the awakening of Smaug. That would have been
Something like that, yeah. Like, and the fact that like you see like Dale all burnt and all when the hobbits are standing on the like that ridge, and then in the next movie Dale has not got any burn marks on it at all, and you're like, hang on, what the fuck just happened there? Like, how long have the people of Lake Town been in there to start fixing that place up?
Yeah, it's a bit strange. Yeah.
It's
Like, there is concepts of that like of the movies, like even to the Return of the King and stuff, where there's bits of where when Elrond turns up with the sword for Aragorn in the book, that's actually the Grey Company, and Elrohad turn up, like Elrond's sons, and they join forces, and them Gimli and Legolas go into the mountains of like the Paths of the Dead. It's like, where were these guys? These were considered to be the top Dunedain. Like, these were the best of the best, and
They were like the elite. They were the best soldiers in Middle Earth, and they could have made a huge difference in terms of the films. In terms of, they were like the humans were getting their asses handed to them at Minas Tirith at the Battle of Pelennor Fields. In the books, they bring not in the books, sorry, in the movies, they arrive with the Army of the Dead. And the Army of the Dead go around slaughtering, killing this, that, and the other. They don't do that in the books.
Nope.
In the books, they scare people. They don't go around killing people. They scare people, and that's it. They don't really.
It's basically the
kill
Grey
anyone.
Company and Aragorn and all who do all the killing. And it's
They
like,
do all the killing. Like I love the bit in the films though when Gimli's like, these lads are grand in a tight punch, you know, we should keep them, you know, and
oh, in a tight
like, no, we can't
situation,
keep
yeah.
them. Can't keep them. Oh,
And the
like,
fact his little smile on his face there, he's like, lads, can we keep him, please? Like, they're great crack. Like, they could come in handy in a
I
tight
just
situation.
like there's the comedy in the films for me between Legolas and Gimli was amazing. Like you look at the Two Towers, I can't see anything. I can't. Would you like me to get you a box? And he just looks up.
And the fact that
that bit where
they're having the battle where they're like 21, 22, and then at the end of it, they're like,
yeah.
So what's your final count? And he's like, my final count is like 42. And he's like, that's not bad for a pointy-eared, elfly princely. I myself are sitting pretty on 43. And then he just whips out he was twitching. He's like, of course he was twitching. My axe is embedded in his nervous system. The other side of this.
It's like, that still counts as one.
Yeah.
Boink. But there was two funny bits. There was two funny bits in the Return of the King, and they're both Gimli. And he's like, that part where he goes, that still only counts as one when he kills a bleeding elephant. But then when you actually, what I find absolutely hilarious, right? They're in talking to, you know, Aragorn has gone to the plant here. You know, they know now that they have to go to the Black Gate in the Hall.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Certainty success, small chance of certainty of death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for?
Brilliant.
What you don't realize? He's sitting on the fucking throne.
He's sitting on the steward's throne.
He's sitting on the throne. Oh, he's still sitting on one of the thrones. He's like, hey, you little bollocks, get off that throne.
It's the same when he's in Rohan when they're all just sitting there and he's just there sitting there with a fucking beer, drinking and eating like and smoking, and the rest of them are all like panting. He's having
a beer, right? Yeah, he's having his beer. He's having his bit of stew, or whatever, and then he does this. He's wiping his mouth. He goes,
yeah, with his beard.
With his beard. He's wiping his mouth with his beard. I'm like, my beard has now gotten to a fairly good length. I'm like, well, maybe I should try to do that. I was like, no. I was eating popcorn today. A little bit got stuck in there. I was like, will I leave that for later? No, I better eat it now. So I was like, I'm trying. That's what I'm going to go for. I'm going for like a Gimli look with the beard. So
do you know what's funny? Like I'm just sitting here looking at your beard here, and I'm like, do you know what's scary? No, he looks like Eric when he does his cosplay of the dwarf for Twitch.
Oh shit! Yeah.
So there's a Twitch streamer called Jen and Eric. They're a couple and they do World of Warcraft streams. But his character's always a dwarf, and he cosplays as a dwarf sometimes. And I swear to God, you actually look exactly like the cosplay he does. The beard, it's like uncanny. I can't look. I'm like, fuck me. It looks. You could cosplay as a really good dwarf.
Actually, here's a cosplay story for you here, right? So I'm kind of straightening the beard and kind of trimming off the little bits on the side and kind of trying to get it neat. And my wife says to me last week, she says, so what do you know, how long are you gonna go? And it was actually her idea for me to grow it in the first place. I wanted to cut it all up. She says, no, keep going. So she says, how long are you gonna go with it? And I was like, I'm going Gandalf. I'm going Gandalf. That's what I know. She was like, she's looking at me going, well, we could put extensions in it now. I'm like, sorry, what? Extensions? I was like, yeah, but then that immediately started me thinking. I was like, if I put extensions in it, colored the beard white, got a long wig, split down the middle, both sides colored that white, I'd make a good Saruman.
Saruman, yeah.
That's the dream, to have a Saruman costume.
Which I find really I find hilarious that you say that, because like you do have a Dooku costume, and it's the same actor.
That is very
same
true.
Actor.
Yeah, same actor. And the fact is, right, this is what I find hilarious. Yeah, well, I already have that in.
Actually,
don't you worry.
Saying that my next door neighbor has a massive weapons replica collection, and he has all the weapons from Lord of the Rings. Like he's Gimli's axe and everything on the wall, and Legolas's blades and everything.
Yeah, that's the dream.
And I'm like, I like when you see it, you're just speechless. You're like, lads. Like I was walking in the garden one day, and the light in the bedroom was on. You could see them on the wall, and I was like, that's Gimli's axe.
Right, well, Carl, you just give me that address and we'll get a team of lads and we'll get you that stuff. No bother at all.
Like, I know
this is the
I
thing.
have
This is the
I
thing
have
with
a
Christopher
fucking
Lee.
mandolin on the like on the
Yeah,
wall.
well, you've got one, but there's plenty more there. So I'll have half. You have half. Sure,
yeah,
go fine. Not
that
a
sounds
bother.
like a fucking plan.
But the thing is, like, I have all these tattoos, and I was talking to earlier on about the idea that I wanted for the sleeve,
The
the
villains,
Lord of the Rings sleeve. But I'm actually going to have Christopher Lee tattooed onto me twice because I actually have Dooku on the inside of my bicep
Oh,
on
yeah.
my right arm, and Dooku is there. So then I'm going to have Dooku there and Saruman there, both bad guys.
Ooh, that's gonna be
Bad
cool.
guys. So I
That's
can't
really
wait to
cool.
get that started. It's going to be a couple of years in the making because obviously with the shite that we have now, there's no tattoo places open. Plus, I have to get one thing lasered off, so it needs to create space. So once that's gone, I need a couple of months of healing. Then I go in, and I've already talked to my tattoo guy about it. I tell you, if anyone wants to get a Lord of the Rings tattoo, a Star Wars tattoo, Marvel or DC tattoo, there's one place I would recommend, and it's Tattoo Heroes. It's on the Keys. Look them up on Instagram, on Facebook. They're absolutely fantastic. Good friend of mine. And I mean, this guy wins awards for his tattoos. This is how good he is. And his apprentices are just as good as him. One of the apprentices recently, if you go onto one of their page, you can see that it was last year she did a Gandalf tattoo, and it's like a silhouette, and it's absolutely fantastic. So I cannot recommend them enough. But that's where I go, and I'll be going for my Lord of the Rings sleeve there as well. Like, this is how much, me and my wife we wanted to get matching tattoos for a long time, and we originally thought, well, why don't we get a Game of Thrones one, because we were big Game of Thrones fans. We were going to get the saying "not today" with the
Oh,
sword,
yeah.
not today with needle going through it. But then, kind of Game of Thrones ending kind of gave us a sour taste in our mouths. We're like, do we really want that tattooed on us? And we're like, no. So now we're actually looking to get matching Lord of the Rings tattoos, because
That's kind of funny that you say that, because me and my girlfriend were talking about like matching tattoos and stuff like that, and I was like, my next tattoo is going to be Lord of the Rings. I'm sorry, you can fucking wait if you ever want to get match tattoos, but Lord of the Rings is my next tattoo.
I love
Like,
it.
fuck everything else.
You see, this is the thing. Like this, it was actually
Like,
Lord of the Rings that brought me and my wife together.
Vikings and shit tattooed on me, and Pokemon, like stuff that I love.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Lord of the Rings is my biggest thing that I love more than anything else. Like, I have statues in Niles in a display cabinet behind them of like Smeagol, of the two statues of
the mountains,
the two statues of the two Gondor kings holding up their hands, and then I've also got Minas Tirith, like actually, like, and they're proper statues, like they weigh a fucking
And they're in
ton.
Niles, are they?
They're in our studio.
They're not in yours.
They're in the studio.
Yeah, well, I know where that studio is, so.
That's true.
I should expect
they're behind lock and
it.
key, so you're all right.
There won't be a knock. You'll just go in there one day. Where the fuck are them statues? And you'll see me on the stream, like, Niall, look what's behind me.
I got something new. Check it out.
You can still buy them they're on Amazon and everything. You can still get them.
Why would I buy them on Amazon when I can rob them from Niall's house? Like, come on.
True. Like the fact that like I have like so much, like I went down my way to get Lord of the Rings like collectibles and memorabilia. Like I'm wearing a fucking Lord of the Rings top and a hat that says Middle Earth. Like I've the sword there in the back of the door. I've got like a big fucking Arnor flag on my wall, and then I have an actual like parchment where it's Rivendell. And then I have I have the map and all, like, and I'm like
I do have.
I love it. I love it.
I had ordered 3 swords. Do you remember there was a comic book shop just off? Was it Sin City? Is that what it's called, or Sub City? Do you remember Sub City?
Yes.
Sub, yeah.
Yeah, Sub City.
Still there.
And they moved though, didn't they? They're somewhere else.
There's 2 of them. There's one on Dame Street and one
that's
on.
That's the one. So the one that was just off Georgia Street there, the original one. I remember I'd go in there on my lunch break every day, and I remember when the Lord of the Rings movies came out, they had all the official memorabilia on the walls, and they had Gandalf's sword, they had Aragorn's sword, they had the Witch King's sword, they had all these swords. I'm like, right, I'll take Gandalf's sword, and I'll take Aragorn's sword, and I'll take Sting as well. That's what I'll have that as well. So he said, no, I can't get Sting. That's gone. But I'll take your name down for the 2 of them. But then I never bought them. I just didn't do it. And then my 21st came along, and all my good friends, like my boys as I called them, they all bought me swords. I'm like, geez, what are you doing? So my cousin bought me a samurai sword that the hilt and the scabbard is a cobra. It's a
nice
cobra, right? then my friend Gordon bought me a huge, big barbarian sword. I was like, that's cool. That's going on the wall. And then a man we know very well here, Mr. Vic Viper,
Good old Vic.
gives me this sword. I'm just like, that's kind of small. What the fuck is this? And he was like, it's right up your alley. I opened it up, and what was it? It was Sting.
Oh, Vic,
got
you
me
absolute
Sting.
legend, you.
Yeah, he had got me Sting, and I still have Sting. Now I'm transforming this room. This room they're in is my sitting room, but this is actually going to be the throne room. So there's going to be bits and pieces from Lord of the Rings, from Game of Thrones, from Star Wars, you name it, like Marvel stuff. I have some fantastic paintings that I got from Dublin Comic Con of Venom and Carnage. They're going on the wall.
Nice.
I have like you ever see like tourist posters like visit Dubai and visit Dublin and visit Belfast.
Visit Middle Earth.
Yeah, I do actually. I have visit Isengard, visit Minas Tirith, visit Rivendell.
Nice.
I have them, and they're going on the wall as well.
Fucking
so I have
nice.
loads of different things. This whole room is getting completely.
The fact that you said you have like I can see them in your behind just the lightsabers, and which is really funny is your whole room is like that. You have loads of Star Wars. Mine's Star Wars, or mine's Lord of the Rings, but I actually have a lightsaber on my wall as well. So I was like, and I got a custom made.
Yeah.
So
Wait,
like,
is it is Lord of the Rings or?
No, it's just like it's a custom hilt that I wanted.
Yeah.
Which is very plain.
Show me, yeah. Come on, you might as well show me. Now
it's not as good as yours, Gerry.
Oh, okay. Have you seen though, Carl? Have you seen the Lord of the Rings custom lightsabers?
I have. I've seen them, pictures of them, and stuff like that.
What?
So, yeah. So mine is just literally. I wanted it as plain as I could get it.
Yeah.
Make it really custom. So just, I was like, I want it plain because I can use a sword. So I was like, I want the plain. So I'm like,
I'm just going to show off my one here.
Yeah, look at that beautiful bastard.
Sick. I still beat that one with that on the.
Well, I've got like 3 lightsabers here. So
I think the Sting might beat that though.
Well, I have to say, I do love Sting, and for a long time, because what he decided to do was when he gave me Sting, he put it in this beautiful wrapping, the whole lot. I remember taking it out, and he's like, "Now be careful." I was like, "Why?" I decided to sharpen it for you in case somebody decided to rob it, and I'm like, "All right, thanks for that." So it's up in the bedroom, and it's actually still quite sharp.
That's brilliant.
You did a good job.
Like the fact that you
wouldn't fucking mess with it, I can tell you.
The fact that like if you ever got raided, like, and they were like, "This lad just collects stuff," next while they go over and one of them's like, "That Sting," touches it, and it's like, "Me finger." It's like
it stings.
Let's be honest. If the guards came into my house, that fucking sword would glow blue. Okay.
Oh yeah.
The dirty orc bastards.
They're more goblins. They all look like
let's be honest, they're pigs, lads. That's what they are.
Say that to Dan Manning, Jesus.
Like the fact that we're talking about this kind of stuff, like the Lord of the Rings, like swords and stuff like that. And it's really funny. On my other screen to my right, I refreshed like Facebook, and what popped up was like a weapons blacksmith, and it says from Lord of the Rings to Assassin's Creed, and I'm like, what's the first thing they're making? Fucking Gimli's axes. I'm like,
nice.
I tell you, Facebook listens to you, buddy.
Oh, it's creepy. It's scary.
Yeah, it does. It listens.
They're spying on the whole
a few
time.
minutes and to be lightsabers, Lord of the Rings lightsabers for sale. I'm like, oh, come on, give it over. Like,
lads, I don't have money at the minute. There's a pandemic. Like, relax.
Yeah, but like obviously like the franchise is so fucking like vast that like we couldn't possibly like talk about like all.
Oh no,
like not in just one session, but like still won't rule out the possibility of making this a regular thing.
So what are these questions you wanted to ask us? Because like Niall told me a spark to ask Gerry and like hit us with some trivia questions.
Oh really? Oh, I something wrong with my
Sorry, it's cutting out, but got by
conveniently.
Sure, I have that. I actually bought it.
I bought
it on Amazon. I bought a Lord of the Rings trivia game, and it's here somewhere. Or is it in yours?
A trivia game.
Trivial Pursuit, Lord of the Rings, was it?
Yeah, it's exactly what it is.
I love that.
And I'd love to play it, but I'm like, lads, none of you know enough about Lord of the Rings to play it.
I could play it.
You could definitely. No, I'll get Gerry up. We'll do a beer and fucking Lord of the Rings trivia night. Pizzas.
We need pints of ale.
Ale. All hail the ale.
Oh hell yeah! Right, go on.
Jesus.
If you have questions, go on. Give it a go. We'll
do.
We'll give it a go.
Right, fuck.
I'm not going to get any of these right, but go on.
I probably won't.
It starts off a relatively easy one.
Right, go on.
So-
We'll see.
How did Gollum first lose the ring? Now these are multiple choice.
All right.
So now if you know the answer, you can say it now, or if you want to hear them, let me know.
I'll actually be interested to hear them.
Yeah, I want to hear them.
Yeah, I want to hear
Okay.
them.
The ring abandoned Gollum,
Mhm.
squabbling with an imp goblin. His grandmother took it from him, or he forgot where he put it.
It abandoned him.
Yeah, there was abandoned, but the second one I think was the best. Squabbling
The squabbling goblins, and his granny took it off, and now I like that one. Here you, Gollum, you little bollocks, give me that ring.
The fact of the matter
Yeah,
is like that
it
he
did
was
abandon him.
technically like a hobbit, and it's like I could see that happening. Like one day he's being a little bastard, and it's like, give me that, you little fuck.
Give me that fucking ring, you little prick.
These were both
Get rid of
right.
him.
Like it did abandon him.
Okay, right. Next one.
Next, Sauron's original name of Mehron meant what?
Say that again.
His Sauron's original name of Mehron, Mehron, Mairon, Mehron, Myron.
Minor.
I think so.
Right. Well, what is it? Multiple choice?
Yes.
Okay, go on.
Go on.
King Excellent, the Darkness, the Cruel, the Admirable.
I'm gonna go. I actually don't know this one. I'm gonna go with
I
the
don't.
darkness because it kind of fits him. But we'll go with the darkness.
What about you, Carl?
I think it's Admiral.
You'd be right. It is the Admirable.
Yeah, because I remember reading something about it, and the fact that like because he was good at one stage. So I was like, I remember that something about that, but I was,
All right, Foxy. What's next?
What was a fond memory Bilbo had of his early meetings with Gandalf? Now, all these questions are multiple choice, so.
Mhm.
But if you know the answer straight out, just answer. But do you want to hear them?
Yeah, go on.
Go on.
Right on. Singing and drinking, watching firework displays, cutting each other's hair, entering rock throwing competitions.
This isn't fucking Braveheart.
In terms of multiple choice, there's only two choices there. It's either
Yeah.
A or B. So it's smoking and what was it? Smoking and drinking, singing and drinking,
Singing
and
and
watching
drinking.
fireworks.
I'm pretty
I'm
sure it's the
watching fireworks.
fireworks on.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the
Midsummer's
fireworks. As
Eve.
well. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it was fireworks.
Because I remember like saying that he was watching his fireworks on Midsummer's Eve in the Hobbit movie, and I was like, "Yeah, that sounds about right."
Question 4. In what year did Sauron return to Dol Guldur after hiding? This is 4,260, 2,640, 2,460, or 4,620?
I'm gonna say the third one.
2,460,
Yeah,
What was B?
2,640.
Right, I'm gonna go with B, and Cara went with C.
It was C. It was 24,460.
I knew it wasn't. Definitely wasn't 4,000.
Fuck me, I guessed
No way
that.
it was 4,000.
I was trying to remember. I was like, "Oh, I don't know that one. I don't know that. I don't know that."
What names did
I mean,
Gollum
why can't we
have?
be playing for prizes? I'd be on fire here.
Good
We
luck.
can play for those statues in the background there. That's
Fuck
great.
off you. All of a sudden, he'll magically become like a fucking expert.
Yeah, God damn, he will.
He's got Google listening in the background, and he's like,
What names did Gollum have for the ring? Misty, Greatest, Birthday Present, Gollum's Present.
Say them again.
Misty, Greatest, Birthday Present, Gollum's Present.
Birthday present.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna go birthday present as well because he says it's because
movie.
it's my birthday and I want it. So birthday present.
Yes, it is.
That's exactly what I was like.
Yeah.
I just remember that scene. Chokes him out, just like.
The 3 stone trolls of the Lone Lands were called what? Oin, Gloin, and Foin. Bach, Walt, and Edward. Tony, Don, and Peter. Tom, Bert, and William.
Tom, Bert, and William.
Tom, Bert, and William.
Yes.
When you said
the
the
only reason I
first,
got that was because of Bert.
yeah, that was the same as me. The first 3 though, I was like, they're dwarfs.
Yeah.
Frodo's father was called what?
Oh,
See,
fuck.
this is something that you might actually know, so that's why I haven't said them yet.
Go on.
Now,
No.
Dudo, Drogo, Fosco, Bungo.
I'm gonna go with first one. A.
B.
Drogo. B.
Yeah.
I remember hearing, like, reading the name.
When you said the name, I was like, no, that's Game of Thrones. That's Game of Thrones. Fuck.
How many other wizards accompanied Elorin to the Undying Lands? I'll spell out the name. OLO Fada RIN. Elorin? Alrin? I'm having a hard time pronouncing it.
Spell that again.
OLO Fada RIN.
Orin.
Orin? Okay. But yeah, how many wizards accompanied Orin to the Undying Lands? 3, 4,
5. Well, technically 4 because he's one.
13, or 2.
Technically 4 because he's one.
So say them again. 3,
4, 13, or 2.
And the question was, how many accompanied him to the Undying Lands
Yes.
or from the Undying Lands?
Oh,
2.
2.
To the Undying Lands.
So, and it was 3, 4,
13, or 2.
3.
I'm gonna say 2.
4. You should have gone with your first guess.
That's a bit weird because technically no one would have went with him
That's a strange one, actually. Yeah.
because he went.
You get these trivia questions. You're making this shit up.
No.
Because the fact is, the 2 blue wizards definitely wouldn't have been there because they were way off in the east, and Radagast definitely wouldn't have gone. And Saruman is dead. He's on a spike under the water in Isengard, blowing bubbles.
I'm looking at the explanation for the answer. So
okay.
So when you said that name, when you spelled it out, I was like, "What the fuck is that name?" But it's Gandalf's actual fucking name.
Yes.
I was like,
all right, I'll read out the explanation for the answer then, just to make it easier.
Yeah, go for it.
So, known previously as Orin, a Quenya word meaning dreamer, Gandalf was ultimately tasked with removing the darkness that oozed from Dol Guldur. He was first sent to Middle-earth along with other wizards to bolster those who were opposed to the growing force of Sauron. It was here that he learned about the elves of Middle-earth. So, can you tell us how many other wizards accompanied?
Yeah, accompanied them was 4.
Yeah.
You fucking mixed that up. You said going to the Undying Lands. It was fucking from.
That's the actual way. Like it was. The question was presented.
It was the 2 blue. It was Radagast and Saruman.
Yeah.
Anyone know the blue wizards' names?
No.
That was a general question because I haven't got a fucking clue.
Yeah, no one does.
They've different names.
Yeah, some people were like in the Daemon, it was like fucking Pluto and something else. And I was like,
Now, this one you should get in the first go. Like, I shouldn't have to like say out the
he
answers.
says that now.
What council did Gandalf join after arriving at Middle Earth?
That's a trick question because it has two names.
I'm assuming the White Council.
White Council was the first, and then it was the Council of Elrond.
Yeah.
You're right. The White Council.
I was like, what way they're
Now,
going to
just
phrase
out of
that?
curiosity, what were the options?
The White Council, the Power Council,
Ooh.
the Black Council, and the War Council.
I guarantee you the Power Council had Hulk Hogan and Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, and the Ultimate Warrior in it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Dig it. How old was Gollum when he died?
Oh, fuck.
It's several hundred. So go on, give us the options.
So, was he 589, 222, 985, or 94?
I don't know why, but A
500.
sound.
501.
I'm thinking A.
You're right. 589.
Nice.
He was very old.
Because if you go back to the kind of the prologue in the Fellowship of the Ring, Galadriel's monologue.
Oh, yeah.
he was given unnaturally a long life. It corrupted him for 500 years.
100 years, yeah.
There you go.
And the fact that, like, where it says, like, we had 1,000 years of peace and stuff like that.
The peaceful period after Gandalf's visit to Dol Guldur was called what?
Ooh. Shit.
Do you
That's
want to hear the
tough.
answers?
Go on, yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Evil sleep, witnessed calm, peaceful watch, watchful peace.
Oh, it's A or D for me.
Yeah, it's A or D.
Oh.
What was it again?
Evil sleep.
See, that one, I kind of think it because, like, in the movies and stuff, you hear them saying, like, there's a sleepless malice.
Mm.
I'm going to say A.
Just to go with something different, I'm gonna go with D.
And Gerry, you'd be right.
Oh,
Nice.
It was the watchful peace.
Watchful peace. Why does that sound like something from Game of Thrones, like on the fucking wall?
Yeah.
What was Gandalf known as to the dwarves?
I know what he's known to the elves. Dwarves, fuck. I don't know if what's the
Mithran. No,
No,
that's the elves
yeah.
one.
Mithrandil is the one
Yeah.
that I was thinking of as well.
Right, go on. Give us the answers.
In Canis, Tarkun, Kuromo, Mithrandir.
Mithrandil.
I'll go with that one as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what the elves know him as. What we'll go with.
That's what kind of everyone calls him. Even the men of Gondor call him that.
Mm.
But to the dwarves, he was called Tarkun.
See, that would make sense because it's Kuztal, and in Kuztal, it's all Kun is the main word. Like for Baruch Hazah and like Kazime Menu and stuff like that. It's all that Kun. It's that type of stuff. So that's why I was like,
That threw me now. That
threw me.
Tolkien based his character of Smaug on which dragon legend?
Ooh. Ooh. Oh, fuck.
Go on.
Anglian Beowulf dragon, Norse Fafnir, Japanese Ryujin, or Slavic Zmaze?
Norse Fafnir.
Norse, yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
You're right.
Because he would look almost like that. That was actually fucking good.
Thorin II was also known as
Stonehelm. Fuck you, Niall.
No. So fuck you.
No, that's Thorin. Stonehelm is Thorin Ooh, third, fourth.
Go on, give us some then.
The Dwarf King, Prince Orcrist, Oakenshield, or Man Mountain.
Oakenshield,
Oakenshield.
isn't it? Oakenshield.
Yep. That's why I knew that was going to throw you because, like I said, Thorin 2.
Yeah, because there's
Orcrist is the sword's name.
the sword.
Mm.
Because you have Thorin Stonehelm, which is King Dane's son, which would have been the Thorin the Third.
Sauron took many forms. Which one is correct? A scorpion, a great wolf, a statue, a goat.
Ooh,
A scorpion, a great wolf, a statue,
And
or
a goat. A goat.
that's actually.
I'm just gonna go out there and say a goat.
Ooh, I'd say probably a wolf.
A great wolf.
Only because he kind of has that look in his armor and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where like the ears point up, like the top of the.
I genuinely
helmet.
thought it was gonna be like a trick question.
So did I. I was like, there's gonna be some fucking random shit that's not even there.
What was Gollum's favorite food?
Oh, here we go. I'm not singing the song.
Dwarves,
Yeah.
mollusks, raw fish, or algae.
Raw fish.
Raw fish, because he sings that stupid song.
Yeah.
In the starts baiting the fish
Nice
off the rock.
sense.
Fucking die!
What were the black pits?
Where they created the orcs.
Works, yeah.
So I'll give you
Yeah, give me
the answers so you can decide. A slave mining place for disobedient orcs.
get the fuck down there now.
The site of the forging of the One Ring. The place of imprisonment for King Gil-galad.
Oh, Gilgalad.
The last resting place for Noldoran King Finrod.
What was it called?
Black pits.
The Black Pit.
Yeah.
That's Gilgalad. When you tried to get the Silmaril from Morgoth, I think.
No, it's not asking what it was called. It's just asking what were they? What were
Yeah.
the black pits?
Oh, yeah, I think it was the Gilgalad one.
Jerry?
I'm gonna go with the first one. Fucking.
The first one?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be
I
right.
actually don't know that one at all.
It was a slave mining place for disobedient orcs.
Fuck. I would
I
never
know,
have gotten that.
It's so fucking silly, but like that's the answer.
I've never heard that before.
What other family descendant influenced Bilbo's character? The Elrons, the Havens, the Tooks, the Winners.
I'd say the
Tooks.
Tooks.
Because in The Hobbit, where he's like, you're also a Took.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll go with Took as well. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Go on, Jerry. The two of us.
Yeah.
High five.
Yeah.
What was Saruman's Kenya name?
Kenya.
Quenya.
Yeah, makes
Quenya.
sense. I was like, what?
Yeah. Give us the options there.
Urukai, Sindarin, Kuramo, or Grima.
Sindarin.
Darren's a language.
Where are you going with, Carl?
What was that again?
Urukai.
That's a fucking. Oh, that's tough.
Well, for me, it wasn't the first or the last one, so it's either B or C.
It's BRC, yeah.
So I went for B.
I'll go B as well.
It's actually C. It's Kuramo.
Cool. That sounds very Japanese.
I know.
I was like, the others are all like Sindarin's a language. Urukai is the name of an orc.
And then Grima was
Grima's a
Grima
person.
By what name were the Balrog also known?
Fuck me, I wasn't talking about this.
One.
You actually said it earlier on.
Shut
So
up, I know.
So I know as soon as I read it out, you'd be like, "Yep." So, Flaming Whips, Durin's Bane, Shadow Monsters,
Shadow Monsters.
Shadows of Zirig Zigil.
Doran's Bane.
You're in Spain, yeah.
Yeah, it was but that was only one Balrog.
Yeah.
One that killed Doran.
In the Third Age, 2463, Gollum became which bearer of the ring? So the options are: was he the second, the fifth, the third, or the fourth?
Third.
It's third or fourth.
What you going with?
Technically, Celebrimbor was one as well. So I'm gonna say 4.
I'm going 3.
You'd be right. It's the fourth.
Yeah, because Celebrimbor.
Celebrimbor, then Sauron, then
and then
Isildur,
Isildur.
and then Gollum.
Oh fuck me! I was like, technically, Celebrimbor made that ring, so he would be one.
Mhm.
And the fact that, like, when you think back to the Middle Earth or the Shadow Mordor and Shadow War games, Celebrimbor has the ring.
The name Gollum came from where? From the Old Norse word for slimy, his grandmother, from an Old English word to ponder, the gurgling sound he made.
The gurgling sound.
Gurgling sound he made.
Because it was like a cat coughing before ball. Like, got him. Where he's coughing.
What happened to Frodo Baggins' parents? They're still alive.
No.
They drowned. They were killed by orcs, or they were poisoned.
Right, well, they're definitely dead, so it's definitely not the first one.
Definitely dead.
Definitely dead.
They're brown, we know that. They're dead. They're fucked.
Drowning, orcs, or poison. Oh,
I don't know why, but
I don't think it's poison, so I think it's B or C.
Could have been orcs.
Oh,
The Battle of Green Fields.
Yeah,
Stuff like that. Like,
B.
So, Jerry, you're saying B?
Yeah.
What
I'll
you
say
going with,
orcs.
Carl? Jerry's right.
Drowned.
They drowned.
Jesus.
Get in there, Jerry.
Go on, you go thing. I know how he's like, that was a complete guess.
Oh, I knew it.
Which people were allied to Sauron? The people of Noldorin, the Eldarin, the people of Lindon, or Easterlings?
Easterlings.
Yes.
Boom.
Yeah.
And we go with the last one.
That's quite funny because Noldorin would have been technically right as well because you had the Black Dunedain.
So for the last question, which is the correct answer to this riddle? Oh, sorry. No, that's a visual one. No. You like it is a visual one. You have to see it. So
I probably would have been like, yeah, Mike.
So I'll see if I can. No,
I can see if I can.
I won't be able to. So I'll drop the glare. Hopefully you can see it. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I can see the picture. Okay.
Yeah.
What is the answer to the riddle?
What's the fucking riddle?
It's in the picture.
Okay, he has the ring. Okay, so
Okay.
what are the answers?
So
I was like, what's the riddle? A riddle usually is words, it's not a picture.
is the answer wind, precious, snow, or darkness? Keep in mind, like from that picture, that's a scene from the film. So if you can remember it.
But did you see that scene? There was no riddle. There was a riddle in the Hobbit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's kind of a trick question because is it taking the concept of the Hobbit in or the Lord of the Rings? We're going by that.
I
That's
think
the
so.
Lord of the Rings.
Well, the ring is the precious.
But it is in darkness as well, so that's quite confusing. I would say precious.
I'm going to go precious as well.
It'd be wind.
And I was going to say wind.
Wind was one of the answers in The Hobbit.
Yeah, in the Hobbit, it's one of the answers to the actual riddle.
So that's where that's a bit of a throw off, because you're like, is that coming from The Hobbit or is it coming from
Niall and his stupid fucking questions?
Who did you get the questions off, by the way?
I got.
I guarantee he just typed in Lord of the Rings trivia questions and he got that bollocks. He could have typed in Lord of the Rings movie questions and it would have been so much better.
You would have got proper questions.
Like, I could have, but that can always be saved for another one. But
I love how he says we could have, but then in his brain says, but I didn't. So fuck you. Exactly what it is.
No, because he knows Gerry. He's just going bollocks. I should have thought of that.
No, but like obviously, like it can be saved for another one because I actually like putting you two against each other and testing.
It is good. Like trying to figure out like knowledge that we both possess is really good. Like I'd probably know more about the game side of things than anything else. Like I do know a lot because I've watched a lot of the lore stuff, but it's like there is stuff there that I'm like you got me out with one was this Samwise Gamgee's daughter's name. And I was like,
as far as I know, like that was something that Gerry sent in for that last one.
I'm pretty sure it was him. Actually, it was you that sent that one in.
Because I remember, like yeah, like
that was going back like
at least 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
So I had sent Gerry a message like, "Look, I'm doing a podcast on Lord of the Rings. I want to mess up Carl. Send us a few questions."
I got them all except for that bastard one that threw me off. I was like,
yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is their name?
That was the point. It was just like, if I can catch it with one at least, I'd be like, grand.
The fact that you got me, that got me so good. I was like, fuck. And then, like, if someone was to ask me how many kids did Sam have, I'd be like, good enough. I'm done. Sorry, bad connection.
So, obviously, like we're wrapping to a close, but like this has been a lot of fun. Like, I mean, you couldn't like we barely even scratched the surface of like what we could talk about and what can be talked about when it comes to Lord of the Rings. But I mean, it's definitely something that can be done another day. In the meantime, though, I do want to thank both of you for actually coming on, and hopefully you had a bit of fun doing it.
Yeah, definitely it was a bit cracked.
Oh yeah, I'll talk about Lord of the Rings all day long.
That's same
because we were talking there for a second. You know, we have our own individual styles of how much we would know about Lord of the Rings. So obviously, I would be more film orientated and know a little bit about the books. I do have all the games, but say Carl would know a bit more about the games. I also play the tabletop game as well, which is the Battle for Middle Earth Games Workshop one.
I've owned it. One of them sets was the Moria one. I've never actually gotten into it because I've never had anyone else to help me get into it.
I'm sitting at my desk here and I have like right in my desk here and unmade. I'm a fucker for this. I buy loads of these figures and don't even put them together. Don't paint them. Don't do nothing. But right now I've got 50 Uruk-hai in my drawer here. I've got 80 goblins in the press just beside me here, and I've got a Balrog.
You know what's funny? You say that like in that concept. Like my friend is huge into the tabletop, like from England. Like, but like I know you can have different armies, but like, what would your preferred army be in tabletop for Lord of the Rings?
Isengard.
Isengard. Oh, very nice. Uruk-hai.
Yeah, they just seem to be fun to play with.
In my case, it'd probably be dwarves. Like I love dwarves. Dwarves are my thing.
There would be two. If I was to have a good and evil army, it would be Isengard on one, because you've so much that you can use. But then obviously, then I would use Rohan as well.
Rohan.
Well, horses. You just charge them down. Good luck.
True. Get up out of that.
Yeah.
See, I would prefer dwarves just because that like they're brute. They are actually quite like they have good tactics and stuff like that.
And they're funny little bollockses.
That here as well. But like for an evil faction, I would probably go with. Oh, I'd probably have to say Easter eggs.
Well, you see, with Easter eggs, you could have the Mummikill, the elephants.
Yeah, the Mummikill, yeah. But see, with them, you also have like you have the Riders of Khan, they have cavalry and stuff like that, and you're like, Easterlings are very adaptable here. They're very like Rohan in that sense.
Yeah. Well, we can say I tell you what, with what Niall was saying there, you could literally have multiple podcasts about individual things. So we could talk about the games, just the games. We could talk about the books. We can talk about individual films. We can talk about tabletop games. There's so much that we can talk about. You couldn't get even a tenth of it into one podcast.
Oh no, definitely not. Especially when it comes to games, like how many Lord of the Rings video games have been brought out? It's from the Hobbit, the first one that they brought out for the GameCube and stuff, like going all the way up.
Yeah, there's so much.
And then the new Gollum game that's coming out.
That's going to be great.
I have to. I'm sorry. Like as much as I love Lord of the Rings, that game's graphics look a bit iffy at the moment.
Clunky. It's a bit at the moment, shitty.
But I hope they will clean it up and make it a bit better.
Well, one can hope.
Literally, there's my copy of it.
Oh, there's the Hobbit now. You know,
there's my copy of it.
That's your copy there. Okay, well, Niall, I'll see you later, bud.
I still, we have a GameCube and all there. Like I went out and bought a GameCube, and then we were at a convention. We were working at a convention, and I seen that. I was like, I'm fucking buying this.
You had to get that. Yeah, absolutely.
I was like
I have. There are certain games that I have that I can't play because
the 2 towers on the Return to King are still in yours now as well, in one of them boxes.
Really? I'll be definitely over there later on, but don't worry.
For the PS2, I'm pretty sure they're still there.
Oh, PS2.
They're in one of them boxes. So I'm almost sure. Now they could be here.
Yeah, they could be in the big tub that's behind me. So
yeah.
Well, Niall, if you do hear voices in your studio later on, don't worry about it. It's just the computer still being on. That's all it is.
It's just a laptop playing music. Just turn the lights off because you won't be able to turn them on. You just know where the switch is. Just kicking stuff.
Like I don't have night vision goggles. Come on.
Don't you know Gerry's well experienced in this, in his night rambles.
Like the fact of the matter, like with the games alone, like there's so much to talk about between like the Third Age, which was an underrated game so many people didn't like, but I loved it. I thought it was so good. Like the fact that you get to fight the Balrog in the fucking game, I'm like, the fuck, like
new characters, the whole on it. I thought it was great.
And the fact that them characters actually have story actually in the books and stuff, they get mentioned. You're like, these guys should be in that. Like, what's Bennett? What's her name? What's his name? There's a captain of Gondor that's mentioned. It starts with a B. Benethor or Breton or something like fucking that. But like his character is mentioned in the books, being one of the captains of Gondor. But he falls in love with a maiden from Rohan, a shield maiden called Morrowan. I think her name is.
All the names sound fucking like. That's the thing about this.
The worst thing is when you read the Silmarillion and you're trying to mention them names, you're just like,
oh, forget about it.
Manwë and fucking all that. You're just like, what? Morgoth is probably the easiest one out of them all, the Manwë. The rest are all like, yeah. I'm gonna go.
Right. And on that note, like, look, again, thank you too for coming on. Hopefully we'll get you on again to do another one.
Definitely be back.
Definitely.
Because like as we said, we were trying to wrap up and then we were going off. It's like, remember this. So we could definitely, there's more to be had here. And if for anyone that listens, if you like this, please let us know, because like if you want to hear more like Lord of the Rings related like content, please like let us know, because we'd love to hear what your feedback is. But
send in some questions.
Yes, send in questions.
Because Niall's one suck.
Hey, it stumped you for a few, so fuck you.
That's because some prick just decided to word them together. I was like, he sounded like.
But on that note, like, thank you again, and we shall see you in the next one. Bye bye.
Good luck.